right, the time is now 3:30. I'm going to call the town council work session for July 14th to order, and we are going to go right into the Colorado Springs Utilities Continental Hoosier System project presentation.
Great. Well, good afternoon, Mayor and Town Council. We have the honor of having Colorado Springs here today to discuss and make a presentation on their upcoming project that they've been working on for a number of years. We're also joined by Glenn Porzak, who has zoomed into the meeting. So should the council have any questions that he might answer, he can also jump in. There was a memo as part of your packet. Hopefully everyone had a chance to kind of take a look at that. And with that, I'm just going to introduce, we're joined today by Maria Pastor and Kim Gortz and Chris Olney, who's, I just learned today, is their governmental affairs individual. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Colorado Springs, and there's a few slides that they have, and I'm sure there'll be a few questions and after that. So thanks.
Great. Thank you, James. And good afternoon. We're pleased to be here today. Again, Maria Pastori. I'm a water resource planner with Colorado Springs Utilities, and I am the project technical lead for the Continental Hoosier System project. And I know we had introductions, so I'll just go ahead and dive into the presentation. So for the agenda today, I would first like to just provide an overview of the existing Continental Hoosier system, and that'll provide some background and context to our purpose and need for enlarging Montgomery Reservoir in Park County. And then I'll describe some of the components of the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA process that we are involved with, the federal, state agencies, and of course, there'll be local permit requirements as well. And then I'll touch on the current project timeline and our plans to secure a Summit County 1041 permit for the project. So this is a good illustration of the existing Continental Hoosier system. It is our first Trans Mountain water diversion project, and it diverts water from the Upper Blue River watershed and the Middle Fork of the South Platte River. The diversions in the Upper Blue River watershed are transported via several tunnels, as you can see on the map, ultimately through the Hoosier Tunnel underneath the Continental Divide to Montgomery Reservoir. From Montgomery Reservoir, those water supplies are transported 70 miles, all gravity fed via the Blue River pipeline to terminal storage in Colorado Springs metropolitan area. Our diversion season is April through the end of September. In years like this year, we were called out very early on, and we collected hardly any water supplies this year. Just kind of a fun fact, the CHS, Continental Hoosier System, was a critical water supply and deciding factor for the United States Air Force Academy locating to Colorado Springs. Utilities has planned to expand the reservoir at some point in the future when it was first built 60 years ago. The reservoir is due for state required life cycle maintenance and upgrades by 2030. So it just makes sense to complete the enlargement now. In the short term, by 2030, the project will improve for the resiliency, redundancy, and efficiency of the current system. And this is achieved by enlarging Montgomery Reservoir by approximately 8,100 acre feet. And it'll also ensure that we can store and transport water as needed when pipelines are taken out of service for maintenance or other emergencies. In the long term, by 2050 and beyond, as utilities and Colorado Springs grows into additional demands, this will provide for an additional average annual 4,000 acre feet. And currently, we are bypassing physical and legal supplies that are available to us in the Upper Blue River Basin because Montgomery Reservoir just does not have a big enough bucket. And no new water rights are needed. There will only be operational changes to our Blue River diversions, so no changes to current infrastructure within Summit County, and only construction occurring in Park County. Our current project timeline, last several years, we've been in pre-permitting activities with project design at 30%. With regards to the NEPA process, we do have to secure federal, state, and local permits before construction can begin. And that includes the local 1041 here in Summit County and also a 1041 permit in Park County. We have been working with the agencies and our consultants on appropriate methodology and science to evaluate potential environmental resource impacts. And those impacts to those resources will be disclosed through the NEPA permitting process. In the long term, again, this is 2050 and beyond. Our current modeling shows that there will be reduced stream flow in the Blue River in above average and wet years. So again, in years like this, we're not diverting very long. We do have volumetric limits that we must adhere to as well. We are currently on an environmental assessment pathway, and there will be a public process for that as well. And in order to meet a finding of no significant impact for the environmental assessment, we are planning on bypass flows. So those will, I guess I'll just end it there. We are planning on bypass flows. I did want to touch a little bit on the Blue River Settlement Agreement that was executed in 2020 between Colorado Springs Utilities and 6 West Slope entities, including the town of Breckenridge and Summit County. It resolves outstanding issues related to our conditional storage rights we hold in the Blue River and is the result of many years of negotiations. As a result, Colorado Springs Utilities has given up undeveloped storage water rights in the Upper Blue River watershed in order to enlarge Montgomery Reservoir. We have also removed our objection to the 10-mile wilderness expansion, and we have secured an agreement to implement the Shoshone outage protocol, which this was our first year and a good demonstration of that. With regards to the Summit County 1041, in March of 2024, we submitted a pre-application requesting a level of review determination to operate the CHS, the Colin Hoosier System Project in Summit County. And the Summit County Planning Department determined that a major review is required for this project. We are planning to submit a Summit County 1041 application by the end of this year. And then in 2020, and then along with other federal and state permit applications. We anticipate permitting decisions by 2028 and then construction to begin shortly thereafter. That I will just show a slide on more information for the project and open it up to any questions.
Thanks, Marina. Questions?
You mentioned the Shoshone. What is that?
Shoshone outage protocol. Yes, and so when there's conditions experienced on the river that are below 1250 CFS at the Shoshone, then utilities is required to stop diverting. So that's kind of the high level.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Similarly, you said that you were called off, I think was the term that I don't know if that's like a.
Yeah, so
Called off.
we were our water rights were called out of priority
Okay.
After a certain point this
Okay,
year.
so
due to
people
the
with
condition.
more senior water rights were able to.
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit about our system. And we're heavily reliant on storage because we have very junior water rights in the priority system. And so our diversion seasons are generally, that May, June, July period. A lot of times we get called out in July by the senior, like the Cameo call or the Shoshone, those types of water rights. And so we rely on that storage to divert in those short periods where we have the runoff, but we have to deliver water supply and demand and serve demands in Colorado Springs year round. And so for us too, the storage and that resiliency measure helps us carry over storage so we can potentially serve through these droughts, multiple droughts, and we can work through issues like with the in-stream flows and other things that go on during these really tough years.
Thank you.
Mm.
So James, can you just, for people who haven't heard this discussion before, kind of help people understand, will this impact Breckenridge's water rights? Will this impact our water use as a community?
Kelly, those are great questions. As Colorado Springs has, and Maria has mentioned, we did a lot of work, kind of pre-work in this, and that was some of the investigation in terms of whether there were any impacts to the Breckenridge water rights or if there's going to be any noticeable differences. In terms of any impacts to our water rights, there will be no impacts to the water rights. And there is part of the analysis, and maybe I'll let Maria kind of touch on this a little bit. There was some stream flow analysis that actually, from a recreation standpoint, there's a pretty exhaustive piece of work that went through took a look at whether it's fishing or boating or kayaking is, I guess, is one of the things that was looked at as well. And through that work, it wasn't identified that there's going to be there's very few boatable days through our section adjacent to the rec center. And it wasn't due to the possible reduction in waters for these times that they would be able to store, wouldn't have any significant impact to those, what is known as boatable days.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, so are you looking for anything from us, or are you just here to explain the process that you're about to embark on?
We just wanted to provide an update on the project and answer any questions that you may have. So
And I'll add, so as we go through the 1041, they will ask for information through either potentially the MOA, our operations, other operations that may be related to our project as well. So I think it's working with James and Shannon closely to just understand what information the town of Breckenridge might provide in that request for information through the Summit County 1041. So that's why we wanted to bring it to you all, just so you're aware that if those questions do come up, we will be asking for support on that information.
Great. Yeah, and we, of course, really appreciate any information on water movement, and particularly something so close to our boundaries. So thank you very much for taking the time to come up and explain that to us.
Kelly, I did have one question.
Go for it.
Will this affect the fish habitat in Montgomery in the long term? I'm sure the construction will in the short term, but.
Yeah, we're seeing that for the reservoir enlargement, it's temporary for the construction period. Then it will fill, and the recreation, fishing, all those types of activities will resume as they were today. So,
Or maybe as they were last summer, because today.
or as they were last summer. The shoreline will be closer to the road, so it might actually be easier for folks to get down to the water level. So,
Right. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time to come up.
thank you.
Yeah, they're probably condensed. Okay, we're gonna move into planning commission decisions. I should have thanked Mr. Porzak for coming. We had a brief discussion about the planning commission, and I think it might be helpful if, Mark, if you just don't mind coming down to explain why the fencing is actually, anyone can come down and explain this, but why that's helpful for wildfire, because I thought that was a little bit complicated. Do you mind just telling the public?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kelly. I'll let Caleb explain the details on this one since he
Thanks a lot.
handled the application. So
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council. So the reason that the wildfire, there need to be a change to the plans for the fencing in the Stilson neighborhood is because of the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code. You cannot have a combustible material within 8 feet of a habitable structure, and therefore the fencing would not work as it existed before this amendment. And so with the new materials, it will meet the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code.
And so I think it's our understanding that the instead of being wood, it's a material that's like cementatious and it looks like wood. Is that
That is correct.
okay? So we're just getting that flammable material out of that 8 foot. Okay. Any other clarifications?
Caleb, what is the material?
It would be a composite that looks very similar to wood, the way that Kelly had explained it just a moment
And
ago.
is it like cement, fiber, or how is
It could be either or. So it just needs to be a non-combustible material, but it could be a cementitious that appears to be wood appearing, or it could be something that is also synthetic that's non-combustible, as long as it has the appearance of a natural material.
And that is currently allowed by planning code for use
Yeah.
on housing and.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, go for it.
Is this going to affect projects?
Can you turn on?
Is this going to affect projects in the pipeline or coming into the pipeline for private citizens who may want a fence?
So all the projects that have proposed fences, they've been kind of stalled to wait until this amendment was able to go through to ensure that we don't have any fences that are installed that were from the old design that was in the original master plan, to ensure that we have cohesion and fencing throughout the whole neighborhood.
What about throughout the whole town?
So the fencing would only apply to the Stilson neighborhood. It's a part of the master plan. So there is still a variety of fencing that is allowed per the development code in neighborhoods that do not have a master plan that kind of determine a design standard set for fencing. So it really, this amendment only will pertain to the Stables or Stilson Village.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you guys very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
All right, we are into the legislative review, ordinance amending accessory dwelling unit regulations.
Good evening, Mayor, or good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Hope you are all doing well, surviving the heat. Before you this afternoon and evening, we have the first reading for the accessory dwelling unit code amendments. Based on the last two town council meetings, staff moved forward with the direction from council to make the small amendments to actually allow unrestricted accessory dwelling units. With that, we did preserve the deed restricted ADU provisions primarily for positive points. With this, we did have to amend some of the definitions as well as a few other sections that ADUs were mentioned. But with the minor tweaks, staff recommends council approve at the first reading. Well,
Thanks, Cliff.
And the only other thing I have to add is that we have updated the planning commission. We do give a council update at the end of each meeting. So both at the original work session and then in anticipation of tonight's first reading, we updated them that this was kind of the plan to move forward, and really didn't receive any comment. I think they understand it's a big amendment in the sense that it opens the door for ADUs, but it's a pretty simple amendment in terms of what we're doing code wise.
Did you have an impression if they were supportive or not of this amendment?
I think in general, usually when they're not supportive of something, they'll be
They'll let you
very, but I think they understand why we're, just from the lack of ADU production over the last year. So that's our anticipation. Usually if there's something that they're really like, we need to rethink this, they'll be on the record and say
Okay.
such.
Other questions for Cliff and Chris? Did you? I just would love to continually ask for their input, especially over this next year as they're seeing the projects come in. Hopefully we're seeing some projects come in, and just if you guys can make sure that you're kind of keeping track of some of the things that seem to benefit, seem to have problems, so that we can just continually look at this and how it's working for the community. I would be interested in that information.
Yeah, I think like, as soon as we start to get movement, we'll probably give an update, but if, you know, even if it's slow within like 6 months, we'll kind of check back in. But if we see immediate uptick, we'll also inform you of that earlier.
Okay. That's awesome.
Um,
Anything else?
Since our last discussion at the beginning of June, there was a Summit Daily article written. I have received about 3 or 4 inquiries specifically for ADU development, and those owners are looking for me to update them as we go through this code amendment process. So just to, I guess, provide some preliminary feedback from our community.
That's interesting. Thank you. Anything else? All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Much.
Okay, the dog park related rules and regulations.
Hello. So we're here to present updated dog park rules and regulations from our previous discussion. So we added provisions requiring proof of vaccination for visitor dogs in case someone's here visiting. And in the case of dog bites, we'll require identification and also proof of vaccination. And we also updated the formatting. So we communicated these rules and regulations to the dog park committee and received minimal comments. Most of the users were happy that we'd be adopting rules. So if this resolution is approved tonight, Public Works will work with the outreach team to update our website. We're going to post the rules at the dog park, make some nice signs, and also have a QR code to direct them to our website for the full list of rules and regulations. So with that, we'll take any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Dog park rule?
No, thanks for incorporating the little things that I saw as I went through that. But
Of course.
I think it's going to be nice to have this to fall back on.
Definitely.
I appreciate you reaching out to the Carter Park Dog Committee and the group that has provided us some, you know, valuable insights on the rework of Carter Park. And I think that's really valuable to have that outreach and at least keep them in the loop because they can be advocates for us. So
For sure. Yeah. They were happy and said, oh, I guess we got to license our dogs too. So that was good.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Thank you for the work on this.
Thanks. Thanks.
Town council rules of procedure. Must be you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. May Watson, your town clerk, and poor May hasn't been around for both of the meetings that we've had on this, but that's okay. She and I worked on this together, so this was a joint effort. But we've brought to you a resolution approving revised rules of procedure for council. These were actually mostly presented to you back in 2024, but never formally approved. So we've made some minor revisions since then to reflect how we currently do things. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, let me know.
Questions for Keely? Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Looks good. Thank you. And the Little Daisy open space naming. Duke, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. You have in your packet a resolution that would approve naming the open space property currently referred to as McCain Little Daisy Open Space. And we discussed it briefly in the last council meeting, but I'd like to take this opportunity to field questions or address concerns.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns?
Not a concern, but how do you propose that the significance of the name gets communicated either in the short term when we start all trying to remember to use the right name and then to the public when they're thinking about and we're telling them, oh, that'll be the Little Daisy?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in the long term, we can come up with some interpretive signage that will be able to explain that. in the short term, maybe we can post through our social media channels and reach out to the summit daily and try to use our usual communication methods. But thanks for bringing that up. Certainly in signage, but we'll think about what we can do short term to get that message out.
Anything else?
Duke, along those same lines, does the access road get, I guess maybe this is Public Works, but will the access road get renamed and will it be Little Daisy Boulevard?
That's I know that naming the road is a separate process. I'll let Shannon elaborate.
Does that currently have a? Shannon,
We
does
do
that-
need a boulevard.
I've been waiting for this question.
Okay. I'm always here to
Um,
toss them up for you.
I think we can go council choice on this one. I thought we hadn't named the road officially, but turns out when we moved skier parking, we needed to address that for it to work in, Google Maps and Apple Maps. So we have one parcel addressed off the road. So we can change the road or we can leave it McCain Drive. And we can bring this back for further discussion later.
I do think maybe staff should think about this and give us some opinion.
Right.
Do you have a strong opinion that or has BOSAC talked about it at all?
We have not talked about, at BOSAC, we talked more about what the spider of trails inside of
Yeah.
Little Daisy
Which I
open
thought is cool.
space may be, and have some ideas that kind of bubbled to the top. But the road name never really came up.
And there are very strict restrictions. There are restrictions on what roads can be named. We follow the Summit County standards, and basically none of the words can be duplicative to anything else within the county. So it does make for a bit of a challenge. But I'm happy to bring back some options to you at a later meeting if that's the council's wish.
So for example, there's Little Sally Barber Road, which I know is a county road. So that would preclude
Little
Daisy.
would not be able to be
Little would not.
used. If there's anything named Daisy in the county, we could not use Daisy.
Oh,
We will not be able to use river or blue or so many words.
But there were those other trail names that were
was, yeah.
considered.
What's the name of the road now?
McCain Drive, I do believe.
Perfect.
What's the significance of that? Just a previous landowner?
Yes.
Well, it keeps the family's name in play.
Shannon, are there street names for the roads that go off of McCain now? Like,
Mhm.
in-
And in the Vista Verde neighborhood, all of those are
those are all.
because we
named.
have buildings addressed off them.
Yeah.
So those came in with that project. And those are Paddle and Drift and maybe another one I can't think of. So sort of boating themed names.
No more paddle.
Yeah.
Paddles in use. Sorry.
I would love to have a couple of options presented if others were amenable to that.
Yes.
Perfect.
We don't
Staff
need
vote.
Boulevard, though. That's okay if we don't name it Boulevard. So.
Daisy Boulevard?
Yeah.
I will bring that to you at a upcoming work session.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Duke.
All right, we're going to go into the manager's report and we're going to welcome Chief Nelson down for the red, white, and blue fire protection district update. So welcome. I know we have a little bit of a PowerPoint and we can get some wildfire.
Perfect.
Wildfire. Okay.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, Jay Nelson, Chief Executive Officer and Fire Marshal with Red, White, and Blue Fire, giving you a wildfire update. So, as we've discussed fire danger and wildfire risk, it's important to begin by identifying the conditions that drive our current level of risk. Fire restrictions aren't based on a single hot day or one weather event. They're based on multiple objective indicators that help us understand both the likelihood of a wildfire occurring and how difficult it could be to control. One of the primary indicators we monitor is the energy release component, or ERC. ERCs measure how dry the fuels are and the amount of energy a wildfire could produce. The drier the fuels, the more intense and difficult a fire becomes. Currently, the ERCs across the Dillon Ranger District are tracking very near the historic maximum line. And you can see that maximum line is the red line. The blue is how we are tracking for 2026. And then the dotted pink line, or dotted line that's a little harder to see, was 2025. And so everything within 2026 shifted earlier because of our lack of moisture in the spring. We did get some recovery in May, but then again, it's reached its peak as we got through middle of June into July. So we're tracking right at that maximum ERC level. And we're seeing that. I talked to Chief Benedict today, who is up in Steamboat, and they're seeing significant fire behavior that he has never seen in his career up on that fire. So the wood is burning very hot, very quick, and these are becoming fast-moving fires. So forecasts also show that ERC levels remain near those maximum levels because of the continued drought and limited precipitation. These conditions tell us we are in a period of elevated fire risk potential and provide one of the scientific indicators we use when evaluating whether fire restrictions should be recommended. And I'm giving you all this just kind of how this whole process works and how we are where we're at today. So another important indicator is fuel moisture. The top section of this chart, the Soda Creek, is in Keystone, and that is the weather station we use for monitoring for Summit County. As fuels dry, they become easier to ignite and allow fires to spread more rapidly. A good rule of thumb is that fuel moisture is approaching or below 100% indicates fuels are becoming increasingly susceptible to ignition. You'll notice in this chart that sagebrush remains above 100% fuel moisture, but our forests are telling us a different story. And so how this works is the Dillon Ranger District foresters go out, pick up fuels, they put them in an oven, they bake them for a set period of time, and then they monitor what that fuel moisture is after baking them. So that tells us how they're drying out. Within this chart, the 1,000-hour fuels, those are our downed and dead fuels. So those are the downed trees laying in the forest. And then the lodgepole pine, Engelmann spruce, and then subalpine fir, those are all below that 100% threshold or that historical value. So when we talk about fire restrictions, we utilize this chart on the left. So we enter first stage 1 restrictions typically, and that's when those ERCs are at that 90 to 96%. We have high human caused fire risk. For me, we have this discussion once a week. There's a group of us. So the police chiefs, sheriff, fire districts, Dillon Ranger District, and then the upper Colorado River, White River National Forest folks all jump on a call once a week. For me, because of how our forests are used, the number of visitors that our forests see, I always think that we have that high human caused risk. The UCR looks at that as the number of fires that have been caused within the forest by humans. And so we have a weekly discussion about that. But I believe that the potential within our community and our forest is always high. Just because of the use. Live fuel moistures are at or approaching historic thresholds. So again, coming towards that 100% mark. And then there's no significant relief in fire weather forecast during the next 7 days. So that's how we get into stage 1, or that lowest level of fire restriction, which really in the forest precludes people from having campfires, except for at the established campgrounds. So that's the big change in stage 1 restrictions from normal day use. So as we enter stage 2, that's where those ERCs, that chart, That maximum line is typically around 100%, but it varies just a little bit. Our ERCs are greatly over that 97% threshold. So that's a trigger point, that high human caused again. The live fuel moistures are well below the historic thresholds. Again, we're seeing those currently. And then the no significant relief in fire weather. So we had all of those when we moved into stage 2, which really prevents a lot more use restrictions within the forest. And that's where we sit today. So to come out of those, we need to see those ERC levels drop to the 75th percentile, which is pretty low. So it's going to take us a while to get out of fire restrictions. Human-caused risk is moderate or less over the next 14 days. Those live fuel moistures are bouncing back up. So we're carrying fuel moisture in those, so they're well above that 100% mark. And then the next 30 days shows that wildfire danger is at moderate or low risk. So that's how we come out. So I say it's always easier to go in than it is to come out of restrictions. So we hit those thresholds pretty quick to go in, but coming out, we have to meet some, I would call them more stricter thresholds to come out. So we'll be in stage 2 restrictions for a while is my prediction. I know there's been a lot of discussion around stage 3 restrictions and what does that look like? So stage 3 restrictions are typically enacted by the forest. They impact forest use. It's shutting down the forest to visitors. Much easier to do in a national park where you can just shut the gate at the entrance and say we're closed to visitors. Our forest has very lot of different access points, Colorado Trail, Georgia Pass. So it's a lot harder to shut down our forest to use. In addition, it needs to be a collaborative effort because that's going to involve law enforcement. U.S. Forest Service has one law enforcement officer for our forest. So they're going to need to coordinate with local law enforcement as well if they were to trigger that. But again, that gets triggered by the forest based off what the forest is seeing, those thresholds that they have. Typically, they're seeing significant fires in the forest, quick fire growth in the forest, and that potential for human life risk. So that's kind of stage 3 in a nutshell. So let's talk about forecasts. So right now, this is the 6 to 10 day forecast. You can see that we're sitting in that heat dome. We're above normal for our temperatures. And the 8 to 14 days shows that that heat dome is starting to taper off. And so we're going to go back to near normal temperatures. And then the long-term 3 to 4 week forecast right now is showing that we have equal chances of being normal to below normal to above normal. So we're hoping.
You sound like a true meteorologist.
Yeah. So what I see this is I think we're going to trend to leaning to at or above normal. Just that's where we've been. That's what the other predictions are showing as we move forward into the fall. And bear with me a second. And so when we look at the 3 to 4 week moisture, it's showing that to me that the monsoons are going to have some impact on us, but I think they're going to be kind of hit and miss as we move into the monsoonal season. With that said, what we need to remember is that 1 or 2 rain events aren't enough to significantly improve the drought conditions or reduce the fire danger. It takes sustained rainfall over weeks before we see meaningful improvements in drought conditions, fuel moistures, and ERC levels. That means fire restrictions may need to remain in place even after the monsoons begin. And my prediction is that they will. We'll probably be in fire restrictions of some sort until we have significant snow on the ground. The onset of the monsoons also brings an increase in lightning, which can ignite new fires before significant rainfall reaches the ground. To address that risk, the Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control is conducting daily infrared flights with its multi-mission aircraft to identify lightning-caused fires while they're still small. We'll continue to monitor conditions, coordinating with our regional and local partners, and making recommendations based off the best available science and current conditions. So I'd entertain any questions that you may have.
That was great. Questions for the chief?
Was trying to keep it short for you.
It was great. I think it's all the questions that everybody's got on their minds.
That was really good, Jay. Thanks. One question, if we were to get into a stage 3, it's the national forest. Does that also include the BLM land?
Yeah, so within the White River National Forest and the Dillon Ranger District, there's a small amount of BLM land that's down by Heaney Pump House, the Colorado River headwaters. So that's the BLM land. We do weekly calls with all of those partners. In addition to our local partners, we get on a White River National Forest call that includes BLM at the Dillon Ranger District and the sheriffs across the western slope. And so we have those discussions. And typically when we go into fire restrictions, all of the partners go into fire restrictions as well.
Great. Thanks.
Chief, you said a couple of the different, bless you, a couple of different, or every one of the criterias had high human caused risk. And on the stage 3, it was kind of identified as holidays or high traffic. Is that criteria pretty much always satisfied in Summit County?
It is. I think because the wording on it that is in the agreements that we have in the data that we look at, it says potential for high human caused risk or high human caused fires. And so for me, when you look at probability, I think that always sits high. We're the #1 visited forest, #1 used forest within the district. So that risk, I think, is always there. It doesn't, and we've seen it. Peak 2 fire was, started up along the Colorado Trail. So there is that risk just of the forest use, be it backpackers, be it forest users, be it four-wheelers, ATVers, all of that adds that risk.
Great, thank you.
Are you aware if the White River has ever closed for stage 3 fire restrictions?
Not within Summit County that I can remember. I think that they have closed certain areas of the forest because of wildfires that were in there through stage 3. I think in Eagle County, they have done that with certain areas of the forest, but not closing like Dillon Ranger District all the way down.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for all the social media that you've been putting out. I think it helps people take the necessary precautions, but also keeps people aware of what's going on. So we appreciate your effort with that.
Well, thank you. And there's more to come.
Good.
Like I said, Matt's on the Steamboat Fire. So there's going to be some live footage with some messaging coming out in the next week or so.
Crazy. Okay.
About that as well. So
that should be
And
important.
also thanks for upgrading with some of the Spanish language in some of your forms and website.
Yep. That'll be moving forward. Translations will be on everything moving forward. So
Terrific.
Yep.
All right. Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Have a good day.
All right, Shannon, public projects update, please.
Hello again. Couple things to add on top of the memo. You'll probably see some increased activity out at our staging areas adjacent to the Little Daisy open space. This week, Vail Resorts will be on the overflow skier parking with some cabling that they need to temporarily store, probably just this week, maybe into next week. And then as we start the Silver Queen Waterline project, we'll have a lot of materials coming in there for delivery as well throughout the summer. Any questions on those? Okay, adding in on the memo. wanted to reiterate that we are starting Silver Queen Waterline next week on Monday, which is great. And then also, I had a question on the airport road improvements project and the funding mechanism there. As I showed, this is proposed to be funded both in the capital fund and in the housing fund, 50%. This was decided quite a few years ago, and it's reflective of the increased traffic in that corridor from the runway housing development, as well as the prior developments in Blue 52 area as well.
I think the question was whether this money is a new request or whether that's already part of the capital that we've approved several times over the last year. Are you aware of that?
It has been in the 5-year plan. We only approve annually, so it's still not even really approved.
Do you know if it's been in the 3-year plan though? That's what I really want to know.
Yes.
Okay. So we've considered this.
We have considered this. We've kind of shifted it out a number of times as we finalized what was going to be out on those parcels in Block 11, whether it was going to be the secure parking and how dense the housing was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we also waited until the traffic study was updated so that we really knew what we were designing for. So yeah, it's been in the restricted budget for quite some time. We haven't increased the budget in quite some time either. So as we go through the design process, we will update those cost estimates for approval in the 2028 budget.
Shannon, could you refresh on like what some of the improvements are? I had a question the other day and I'm not sure I answered it correctly.
It's a little bit to be determined. We know we want some turn lanes. We need to underground the storm. Instead of having roadside ditches, we're going to need to do a piped solution. And then we're really going to have to look at whether we want sidewalks on both sides. Maybe we want a rec path on one side instead. Maybe we want bike lanes in that section. So we are planning to do a pretty robust community outreach with the residents out there, the commercial businesses out there, as well as with the council. It's a tight right of way. We're not going to be able to fit everything we want. So we're really going to have to make some tough decisions on what the best use of our space is.
Shannon, where are the, and I guess I'm having a hard time reading the bottom of where the boundaries that we're speaking of for these improvements. What would be the south boundary for contemplated improvements?
We are thinking about where the transit stop is at Breck Terrace.
Okay.
And we can play with that a bit. I think we definitely want to go to where it says future Floridora Drive. That's where Floridora is going to come through runway and come out in an easement between some Breck Terrace buildings. That's the way the school bus currently comes in and out. So that's going to be more formalized. Looking like the road. So we want to start there definitely and move north.
I guess the motivation of my question was with some of the school district announcements, does that impact the scope of work or our partners in looking at additional traffic being directed to Upper Blue Elementary and what impact that is, and if there is a kind of a greater good that can be established with partners without slowing down timeframes?
That has a lot of things to unpack. Our traffic study does contemplate the increase in students to Upper Blue, the consolidation. So we do have that traffic accounted for. We will, and we have been working with the school district on a high level about that traffic study, and we will engage them in the planning process. I do think we'll want to understand if the school anticipates any changes in their circulation with the added students. Their buses right now come in where it says Future Floridora, take that right, and come into the school that way. There could be some changes in circulation where the buses use the driveway further south and maybe the parents use the Future Floridora. So we would want to understand that if the school has any, short-term plans to make those changes. We are already contemplating a safe route to school along that access road for students walking from runway into the school. So I think we have a handle on the pedestrian piece, but we do need to understand a bit more of the circulation. This project does not extend all the way to the Valley Brook intersection. We know from our traffic study that our project, the school's consolidation, as well as just future growth, does impact Valley Brook and Airport Road. I think that needs to be a separate project. We are very much constrained site-wise at Valley Brook and Airport Road. Between the cemetery, Excel has a gas reg station there, and then we have Carriage House on the other corner. So there isn't a lot of opportunity there to make changes, but we will need to study that in the future.
Great.
Did I hit all of the question
I
there?
think you nailed them all, and I appreciate it.
Can you, when you're discussing, or do you think that you would be ready to start taking comments and input along with the comp plan work sessions that are planned in July? Because they're having a couple out at like something out of Vista, a lot of things in the Airport Road area. And it seems like it would really benefit the community to talk about comp plan and the road at the same time, even if we don't have all the answers for them, but at least to take their concerns, have someone there who's specifically taking comments on Airport Road improvements.
Yeah, and yes, we won't have our consultants available yet. And
Yeah,
we
and
won't
I think
add
that's
on
fine.
additional open house, but ComDev staff has already been great taking that feedback from residents out there and giving it to public works staff.
That's
I
great.
can try to participate more, but the planners have been doing amazing. They did a ride along on the bus routes and spoke to residents and got a lot of feedback already about areas that need additional pedestrian lighting on the sidewalks, for example. So I was really happy to hear that residents
great.
are already sharing their concerns for the corridor.
Yeah, that's really great. And maybe if we could provide a map that would like help people understand, here's the boundary of the project. Because someone might not think to ask for something on the road if there isn't a map that they could look at and say like, oh, there is that problem area. And it is within the project area.
Yeah,
So
I would love to start learning about people's patterns out there, if they're
Yeah.
biking, walking, what challenges they face.
and it seems like there's quite a few things the child care center pick up. And I know you said that intersection isn't part of it, but having a map there, those folks might be traveling out. And then also the Vista Verde, I think seem like they're very ripe for input on this project.
Definitely. Okay, questions on anything else going on besides Airport Road?
Thought all the work done at Carter Park represented really well, right? You know, the aesthetics of the dog park represented well with the mass of people that were up there during the 4th, and just want to commend the entire team, Kristen, on really putting together a beautiful park that will sustain the seasons.
Yes, Kristen has done a fabulous job, as well as the other staff on that one. Agreed. I don't have a start date yet on Sawmill Pedestrian Connection. It is top of mind of Columbine Hills Construction, but they don't quite know yet when we're going to have machines out there working.
Anything else on public projects? Thank you, Shannon. You've been very busy. Things look great. Mobility.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to give a quick update on the Breck E-Ride, just some verbal data that it was in last month's packet, but it didn't make it into this one. So while we are seeing some really good ridership in the Breck E-Ride this summer, we did expand the service ever so slightly this year. So we went from 30 hubs to 38 hubs, so 8 additional hubs, and then we added 24 bikes over last year. So we're 194 bikes this year. So I think some anecdotal, feedback is the hubs look fuller. You can almost always find a bike when you get on them when you're looking for a bike. So that's been a positive bit of feedback that we've received. And then Teddy says that the survey for the E-Ride will be coming out later this week or early next week, and it'll run through the month of July.
Great.
Happy to take questions. Jay?
Do you have any preliminary data on the cargo bikes? I'm so intrigued at how people are using them and how often they're being used, and if there's any anecdotal feedback at all.
We're seeing them everywhere, which is fantastic. There's only 2 of them, and they're showing up everywhere, which is fantastic. But I do not have any actual data on them, but we will work on that for next week.
I was just curious.
They're cool.
Seeing them in the wild is pretty incredible. Immediately, you're like, holy cow, this thing is,
it's working.
It's like an alien.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
great.
cool. Yeah. Seeing them parked wherever they're parked is really cool because you know somebody used it for a good purpose. So, yeah.
They generate attention.
Yeah.
They do. All right. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Yeah, thank you.
Sustainability.
Right.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. To just add on to the cargo bike question really quickly, Teddy did say that we are seeing a lot more use with the city market. So they're kind of stationed. One is designed to be at the city market hub, the other out at Soul Center with the food bank. And we are seeing more use at city market. So we'll continue to watch that and see if we can't either do additional promotion or try to reallocate the bikes to city market where they're being used, but more to come on that. I don't have much to add to the report. I tried to answer several questions that have come up over the last couple of weeks related to Mountain Energy Project and heat pumps and our own workforce housing. So I'm happy to answer or fill in any questions related to that. But I did note there was a Mountain Energy Project working group meeting last week. The primary topics, in addition to getting a basic update on how many applications and rebates have been submitted, was largely around multifamily retrofits and how we tackle that beast. Because as you all know, multifamilies are governed by HOAs. They are also often either fractional or condominiumized ownership. Some have centralized heating systems, some don't. Some operate as commercial meters, some operate as residential, and so they don't fit into a very nice, neat utility bucket. And yet we have a lot of opportunity for multifamily improvements here in Breckenridge. So we're still working on how to approach that with the utility and just sharing some of our experience and suggestions as to how we move forward with those. We also discussed metrics and how we know whether or not we're moving the needle. I will say it is also on Excel's radar how to do this, but no one has a good answer yet. So as we continue to implement the rebate program and applications, we can report those metrics, but specifically I asked them, how do we know that this is taking a chunk out of the gas shortage, out of the actual problem? And so they're looking at ways to model that for us. And hopefully as this project continues, we'll have better data on that front. So they're working on it, was the answer. Happy to answer any other questions.
Yeah, thanks for the workforce housing data. And just to put that in simple statement, the way I read it was that it, after looking at it, the net is certainly less, which is great.
Yeah, and I think where a lot of the confusion comes in is, we're building those projects as new construction under the new, under a very tight energy code. Whereas retrofits on older buildings can be a bigger challenge when you're not addressing the actual building envelope with air sealing, insulation, weatherization, all of those types of things. So for our new construction, like the economics are working, the long-term affordability, that investment in the net zero and the solar is really important. Where the question around the economics and heat pumps comes in is on those older buildings that need more upgrades than just the mechanical system.
Yeah, and whether you can get solar as part of it or not.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
Jesse, on And one of the things that you were talking about was with new construction, it's more apt to have the ability to take advantage of some of these things. When it comes to a developer being eligible for some of these incentives, is that available to the not the homeowner, but the developer building those, or is it limited just to the homeowner?
The developer.
It is.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Great.
Anything else for Jesse? All right, thank you. Okay, we don't have a housing or open space packet. Do we have a verbal? Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. We do not have anything written in the packet. We did have a work group meeting today, so that'll be in 2 weeks. I think it's the 28th. There'll be a pretty robust housing update, but just 2 quick verbal updates that we wanted to give you. First is we have a new housing planner that is sitting next to me, and that's Ellie Muncie. So we want to welcome her over to housing. And then just a quick update on Prop 123.
Yeah. So for Prop 123, we have received confirmation from DOLA that we've met our required unit commitment from the past 3-year cycle. And then we just received confirmation that our fast track process that we implemented has been approved. So we are now eligible for the $45,000 in grant funding. And so we are going to continue investigating on that and then also work on recommitting for the next 3-year period for the number of units that we need for that.
Okay. And if you had any other questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Okay. I like to keep people internal, so welcome to the.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about open space? Is there a verbal? Okay, great. Thanks, Duke. Committee reports, there was one. Any questions on social equity? Okay. And events.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. 4th of July. I just want to say how proud I am to be a part of a team that can put on a weekend like that. Such a collaborative effort. It's amazing, like what Public Works, the Rec Center, Police, Recreate, everybody came together and put on. And I think we have a roadmap for a really successful future that Dick and Marika can attest. I always like to highlight a couple unsung heroes, so I'm gonna do that briefly. The darn sprinkler kept going off at Breck L, which we can't control at all. And it was like, this is bad optics. And Kyle Gilmore like figured out, even though we couldn't get a hold of the school district, how to get it off. Whether it'll turn on again, we don't know, but it's off. So I really appreciate that. And then when I've got, a medical thing going on in one ear and the internet that we're not required to provide for our timing services, we're trying to use our Starlink. And I'm like, oh, Chris Liberto's wife is racing. I bet he's around. And he came in and turned it on for us. So, it wasn't a big IT request. He's like, yeah, I just turned it on. Like, I never looked at it. So it's just like, it's so appreciative that we have a team that is able to jump in and make a successful day like that go. So any questions? Been a good summer so far, events wise, and we have a lot of good stuff upcoming.
I echo that, John. I saw Kyle turning water off. It came in Carter Park right as he was arriving, which was hilarious. And but great 4th of July. There was a lot going on, and praise to BCA, to town, to BTO. I mean, everybody. And I think that was what a lot of the business community has been looking for 4th of July. And I thought it went really, really well as well. So
thank you.
Thanks to everybody.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I heard so many just positive comments across the board, everything from what Kyle did to save water, to the trail marking on the Firecracker 50, to how fun the pond crossing was, to just operations around town. So thank you all.
Awesome. Yeah. We accept your thanks, Carol. Yeah.
Anything else?
I want to echo the comments that it was clearly a team effort. Like you saw, no one said it's not my job. Like everyone was in there, doing anything they had to. And the team really rose to the challenge of creating activation from 6 in the morning until 10 at night and having it go all the way through with something for our guests and our residents to do the entire day. And I met a lot of people down there at 9 o'clock at night who had stayed down the entire time and gone out for 2 different meals and, you know, did the day and really enjoyed the experience and had nothing but praise. So great job.
Yeah, nice shift from the race crew as well. I saw a lot of muddy faces that were smiling and happy to be able to race. So.
Yes, good job
And
with
good
that.
job communicating that as well. I heard that.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I agree. That was a big change and you guys handled that really, really well. I also want to say that I was at the rec center all week and that was not a 48-hour thing. That was an entire week of people pulling very long days. And, you know, every teacher at the rec center was out there and everybody, just like you said, nobody said it wasn't my job and there were tons of hours worked. So, and tons of great feedback.
Awesome.
So thank you guys.
Yeah, we'll definitely make sure that's shared. Appreciate it all. Thank you.
Any other questions for John? Should we stick it to him now? No? Okay. Only positive comments for you.
I
today.
appreciate you all. Thank you.
Working on next year.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to take a 10-minute break. We will see you back at 4:46 on the dot.
After.
Do not.
Doing great. I'm still having fun.
All right. We are ready to get back into it. We're going to start with the comprehensive plan public engagement process update. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Chris and I are here today to give you a brief overview of public engagement so far that's happened on the comp plan process. It's been really exciting so far. I know some of you have been involved in some of the events that we've had. We're going to give just a real brief overview today. What we do plan on doing is coming back on your August 25th meeting. Our consultant team will be here and get much more into the details. Hopefully we'll have some analysis of kind of the comments that we've been receiving to date from folks. In addition to that, we'll be talking about next steps, kind of moving into more looking at redevelopment sites and moving towards developing the policies and the plan itself. But we're still in that public engagement process right in the middle of it right now. Wanted to go over a few of the things we have done. We've had a couple advisory committee board meetings already, and we have another one scheduled for tomorrow morning. And so that seems to be going along well. It's a good committee, got some good energy, I think, on that committee, and Kelly is participating in that, which we appreciate. We had the big kickoff event at the Eclipse Theater back in early June. Sold out the theater. It was great. We had our three speakers, Mike Douglas from Whistler, big filmmaker, activist, and famous skier, along with our own Carlos Lopez Angeles, and then Nancy Gideon, who is a state demographer. So it was an interesting discussion that night. I think the folks really liked it. There's a lot of discussion about innovation from the Whistler perspective, equity from Carlos's lens, and Nancy kind of giving an overview of kind of where we're going in the future. Population has not grown as much, but there's still a need to, for example, find more accommodations for housing, things like that you might expect. In addition to that, we had a number of other outreach events going on that week, and subsequent to that, we had our town party. We had a tent with over 100 contacts with people at that event. Farmers market the day before had quite a bit of contact with folks, and we also had a morning over at the Crown where we set up, consultant team did, and asked for input. We had some poster boards that you may have seen, and they were asking some general questions. One was, start out with one bold idea that you'd have for the community if you had your choice. Another of the poster board said, if you could change one thing in Breck, what would it be? And then we had a map that said, hey, is there some place or something that you think should change, or some suggestion you have? And so we've got a ton of input on all that. We've also had our staff out working the buses on bus to work day, and subsequent to that. And I'll let Chris maybe talk a little bit more about that in terms of the engagement we've had there. And then the other thing we did was we activated at Bike to Work Day, and had a tent there as well, and talked to quite a few people. We've had about contacts with about 800 different individuals so far in the process. So it's really pretty good public outreach. We've also had a Spanish speaking focus group that met with about 25 Spanish speaking folks that Mountain Dreamers led up a week or two ago. And we've also had several focus groups with the high school where we've gone out and met with them and talked with high school students as well. And then stakeholder interviews where certain individuals from the community have been invited to just one-on-one interviews with our consultant team to just give them their thoughts on the community and where we're going, that type of thing. So it's just a lot of data collection at this point, and also getting people informed of the process as we start to move forward. And I'll let Chris talk about kind of where we're going here in the next month and beyond.
Sure. I think one of the themes for our public outreach is it's multi-layered. And I think that the fact that there's been a higher expectation of public outreach for the council really for a while now, it actually served us well coming into a big event like this. We kind of came into the event or the process warm. Where a lot of other times where we maybe had like a lull between public process, we'd go through it and like, man, I wish we would have done that, but we were already through there. We're coming into this, coming in warm, and then also having motivation mid-process to tweak things or add new ideas. I think that's kind of what we've done with this. And I think all of our staff are really excited about public outreach, and that's probably their favorite part of the job. So we really tried to use that energy and target a variety of groups. And I'll work a little bit in reverse here from how I have the bullets, but I think it's some of these more pop-up events. Like, we had the idea of Bus to Work Day, taking part in that. But with kind of our younger staff, we had them actually out riding the buses along with having a station at the transit area. And I think that was really successful. We noticed that that was hitting a completely different demographic than what we had been reaching at the town party or the farmer's market, where we seem to have a lot of crossover. We noticed particularly at the farmer's market, being a couple weeks after, people, the good thing is they understood our brand and what we were doing, but they're like, oh yeah, I talked to you guys, I've seen you guys a couple times now. But when they went out in the buses, probably 50% of the ridership is Hispanic and Spanish speaking. We also gave the opportunity for our permit tech, Daniela, to be out there as an actual Spanish speaker. And you can see when you have staff that are both either the age or demographic of the people that are targeting, how much more open they are to discussing. As much as Mark and I think we're maybe the coolest people out there. When we have Caleb or Daniela or Cliff, or Maddie out there and you're hitting a different one, like you get a lot more relevant information. So really being strategic about who's being deployed in which situation. So with some of the success and motivation we've had with our staff, we're looking to do, a couple more transit engagements. Those have been really great. We're looking to do, target, parents by going to the mountain camp pickup, and seeing how that's such a hub at the rec center, also the childcare centers that pick up. Always, if you have time and kind of after you're going about your busy day, but really trying to hit different demographics. Also the young adult happy hour, which they did do one for the arts plan that was kind of successful. And some of our staff kind of helped out Julia with that and learned from that. So we're planning on doing some events for young adults, but that's what's going to happen over the next month. And then our signature event is the Carne Asada tomorrow night, Vista Verde. And I think one of the best partnerships that's forged out of this process is really working with the BSAC. I think Mark and I are obviously familiar with Planning Commission, BOSAC, but really getting to know that committee. And that's kind of the new olive branch to the community, and really getting new inroads has been really fruitful for us. And, Carlos being on the committee and being a featured speaker and actually volunteering a lot and also going out in public outreach has been really amazing. But that committee, I think, saw that our interest was genuine, and we've kind of been with them for the last couple of months. And then there was the idea, I think when BOSAC was having their open house, they're like, hey, can we do something like that? And we're like, absolutely. You guys should do that. And we'd love to partner with you as this kickoff event. So we're really excited about that event tomorrow. And so that's kind of what's coming up for the remainder of the month. From that preliminary information, it will kind of identify trends within the community, which our consultants are planning to take and make a more targeted, statistically valid survey that will be released in August off of that information. And then they will also, as Mark said, will come back and update you of the kind of initial work thus far and do a check-in. And then our kind of final big event will be the immersion event in late September, where we'll actually have kind of the 3D modeling of some of the sites we're identifying. But we're really excited about what's coming up in the next month.
Yeah, and I'd just add the 3D immersion will get you'll get a lot more information about that next month. We're really excited about that. But I want hats off to Chris for really reaching out to BSAC and forming a good connection there. And the Carne Asada at Vista Verde is really one of these events. We're going out to where the people are rather than inviting them to wherever we happen to be. So, and I think that's key to this process and getting diverse input.
And I think it should be noted, it's really BSAC's event. We're kind of along for the ride. And I think it's really trying to be Spanish speaking first, but everyone being invited.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Any questions? Comp plan? Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. This level of engagement is absolutely amazing. And it's going to be really exciting to hear what trends come out, the just diverse groups, the young people, all the different community members we're reaching. Outside of having that focus on input for the comp plan, are you hearing feedback from the community? Because you all are the town is so accessible through this process. But if we're hearing feedback on things that we can immediately implement, or maybe it doesn't fit within the comp plan, but it's something that town could really do, are we collecting that feedback in any way? Because I feel like that could be really insightful and could really help us all.
Yeah, really everything that's being produced is being cataloged and recorded, every comment that comes in, but so much of it too is just the conversations that we're having, and we're I think that's one of the best parts. It's just kind of almost getting reacquainted with the community and having the ability just to have conversations with people about different things. So when we hear a good idea, or someone really wants to bring to the forefront, we are cataloging those as well.
Yeah. So I think we'll be able to bring those back and say, here's some really good ideas we heard, and some things that, yeah, maybe not within the total realm of the comp plan, are just good ideas for the community to consider.
Yeah, I think sometimes for the people that are kind of new to the process, they may not be dreaming big enough. Sometimes it's this point where they just have like, oh, I'd love a crosswalk on this kind of random intersection. Like, we're asking you anything. You could tell us what you really dream of. It may or may not happen, but you don't have to limit yourself. That's what we have to remind them. Like, in addition to that crosswalk, tell us like what would really improve your life that were possible. But yeah, I mean, this is the fun part. I mean, we'll get to a part where maybe there'll be competing ideas, and then, I think right now, everyone's like, great, I get to say my piece and you guys are to listen to me. And there'll be some point where we have to make those decisions when we're adopting a comp plan that maybe not everyone will be as excited about it, that we're engaged with, but at least right now we're having fun and everyone appreciates the ability to say what's on their mind.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I love how creative the outreach has been on here. And I've been to several HOA meetings in the past few months. And so like at the end, I kind of give them some resources, including the Shape What Happens in Breck website. And I love that the June events are on here, but then there's a headline that says, what can I do next? And there's no listing of like upcoming events. So if we could have that so people know what they could attend if they missed some past events, that would be great.
Anything else?
Mark, how does the comp plan engage with some of the other plans that we are embarking on or have embarked on, whether it's a water analysis or parking and some of the other town initiatives and initiated studies? Do they blend together pretty easily, or are they firewalled?
No, they're supposed to interact with each other and be, and in fact, typically, Jay, what we do is in the comp plan, we will adopt all those other pertinent documents by reference. And so, yeah, we may not have 100% consistency, but that's the idea between those. And regarding like the water plan that you just referred to, that is going to be part of the comp plan, actually adopted in as a water supply element of the comp plan. So that'll be directly included in the plan as one of the, elements of the plan.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Next is the Coin Valley mural update.
Hello, I'm here with Jill Merrick from Breckenridge, and we're going to give you a quick update on the Coin Valley mural art. So as you know, this is a collaboration with Public Works, Breckenridge, and the town's Leadership Challenge program. So we had 12 artists submit through Breckenridge. They're very high quality proposals. Our committee, we evaluated each of them and narrowed it down to our top 3. So we asked each of the top 3 to come back with a little more information. We had some questions for each of them, and we selected a top choice. So we sent all 3 of those proposals to the Public Arts Commission with our top choice outlined, and we got a unanimous confirmation on that top choice. So after a thorough consideration, the mural committee has selected Ryan Rutherford Sowers. So he's a local artist. His vision for the mural is to highlight and celebrate the seasons and spirit of Breckenridge. So his vision for the north facade would be of Uller and the mountains, while the south facade is a summer mountain scene with Mother Nature and the Blue River with columbines and other wildflowers. So the interior of the tunnel would be a transition of yellows and golds with aspen leaves. And he said that that symbolizes both the fall aspen leaf changing and the gold mining history in Breckenridge. So he also has plans to involve high school artists with some of the layering of the leaves on the inside of the tunnel and maybe some of the painting on the facades. And he has 13 years working as an artist and an illustrator. And in 2025, he created the Uller Fest poster and Breck Pride artwork. And in addition, he also does the artwork at Limber Grove, the store signage and branding. So we think that he'll be a great fit for the project, and we are very excited to work with him. So with that, I'll take any questions or comments.
Anything you want to add, Jill?
No, this was a really lovely collaboration. Kristen put together a great committee, and the Public Arts Advisory Commission was unanimous, as she said, in solidifying the decision. So we are really excited to get started.
Great. Questions? Comments?
I have one question. It all looks amazing and really fun. Part of the RFP was really involving high school students or the youth. So how will they be involved in the execution?
Yeah, I think we need to put him in contact with the art teacher at the high school. And we have some good contacts there. And Tara Olson's part of our committee, and her daughter took all the art classes. And so I think that we can help him get connected with artists at the high school.
That's great.
I just want to say thank you. I was so impressed. Like, it's beautiful. It's really exciting to see. And I think the artwork that is in Silverthorne, right? Like, a lot of people point to that. And I feel like the energy that comes from it, right? And how it connects to the community. Like, I truly feel like it's beautiful. So yeah, thanks.
What does the schedule look like for that?
So we were just talking about that after tonight. We'll start working on a contract and making sure that his schedule works out. But we do need to have it completed by the end of September so that the paint is, cured before it starts snowing. Yeah.
Great. Amazing. Good work.
Thanks.
Yeah, this is a really fun one. Thank you both. Thanks for the teamwork on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, and good segue into arts and cultural organizational structure discussion. This is Julia.
So this is a bit of an odd one, but Julia will be the presenter on this one, and she is remote. So she will be brought over as the presenter in this case. And
Hello.
There's Julia. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you, Julia.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. Yes, so I'm here to talk to you about the SSG final report on the structural organization and funding analysis that they did. So SSG was before you at your last meeting on June 23rd, and that was a lot of information. And so we wanted to take a step back and let everyone absorb that, and then also have SSG come out with their final report based on those questions, that work session. And that's also in your packet. Hopefully you've had a chance to read all 28 pages or however long that was. So we really wanted to kind of the town wanted to look at this structural organization model and funding, because we really heard a lot of comments about how it wasn't working. There was a lot of inefficiencies, and we wanted to kind of have SSG come on as our consultant and give us sort of those best practices, advice, and what would work best for Breckenridge in their professional opinion. They came up with 14 recommendations in that report. There are ones that we wanted to break out and take to you first, since there are so many recommendations. And we can really pick and choose kind of what recommendations you want to take in full or in part or not at all, and just kind of craft what works best for us. So one great thing that they said in doing this analysis was that arts and culture is great. It's doing alive and well here in Breckenridge. And we're just trying to elevate that, make it more efficient, be able to solve some of these potential conflicts that we've been having, provide some more transparency in what we're doing as well. So really trying to elevate what we're doing is the purpose of this report. So the other piece to this, of course, is the cultural master plan, which will be done in probably by January of 27. And although we'll likely see drafts before that, but that will give us sort of the details of what people want to see. This will provide the umbrella structure of how to do all that. And then we get into what exactly we want to see. And we are going to sort of put that on the back burner for now in this discussion, but it is coming down the road. Right now it's in the public engagement process. So with the SSG recommendations, I won't go into too much detail in this, as you had that long report and this memo to read. BCA also did provide a response to the SSG report, which I know Scott sent to you the other day. So thank you, Scott. The first recommendation, as one of these primary recommendations we see, is the shared responsibility model. And so this would essentially, just to summarize, the town owns the assets and the resident organizations operate those within those assets. So all of our facilities, and they really have that expertise. And so this keeps the expertise with the resident organizations rather than taking it in-house into the town, and allows them to be creative with their mission and all the good work that they already are doing, and be able to expand on that by not having to focus on having their buildings maintained and things like that, because the town would be doing that. So really provides that expertise there, leaves their expertise there, and then we take on the facilities, which we do a lot of that already. And so this will also streamline it and provide efficiencies for that. Under this model, there's a couple pieces and parts that will come as later decisions, such as staffing and resources, things like that. So I'm going to skip that piece, but what we're really looking for here is, does this hybrid shared responsibility model that's described in the report make sense to you all? And with that, then we'll come back and bring all those other pieces to you. And we can go to with some of them again or not. It is flexible. The second one is facility management. As I mentioned, the town owns all these art facilities. So not only are we providing, financial resources to our resident organizations, but we're also, the holder of the assets. And so this really is streamlining that. We did hear some, there was some confusion, sometimes that people call the town, sometimes they call BCA and things like that. So this really takes this over. So the town is the landlord on these systems, and long-term asset planning, capital projects, and so on. We'll work with the ROs on that during the budget process if it's specific to their business. And so that's what we're trying to do with the facility management. I kind of think of it as a little bit really similar to our childcare centers, where we are owning, maintaining those buildings, and they are able to do the great work that they do in those buildings. The Arts and Culture Committee is the third recommendation that we'd love to have some feedback on. The Arts and Culture Committee already exists to some degree in the Arts District Management Committee that the BCA started last year. They've been doing some great work. And so this would progress that. It actually elevates this committee to weigh in on arts and culture policy, shared services, and funding decisions internally in that group. And I'll mention that SSG did have a staff member that would be a town staff member, arts and culture manager, that's mentioned that would run this, could run this, right, committee, but would not vote within the committee. So they'd sort of be a neutral party. And then that arts and culture manager could have additional responsibilities in the hybrid shared model. And we discuss that at a subsequent meeting when we talk about staffing resources. And the fourth one is to have the Breck Film and Backstage Theater manage the operations of the Eclipse and the Breckenridge theaters. And so they are the sole RO in each of those facilities. So by the town directly contracting with them rather than BCA, that kind of removes another layer that they had to go through and really streamline that process and make it very transparent. And so with that, those direct agreements with both of these organizations as well as the others, the town's funding is recommended to also come with some metrics, and those would be in the contracts. So if given the go-ahead for this, we would be working with them on what are those metrics, what are we looking for, such as activation days. So that also gives some very clear expectations, which also was an issue within that reporting as well, that they heard from multiple parties. So with that, right now, we're not expecting any financial implications at the moment. Should the town take in the facility management, then we're already paying for that essentially. So we don't foresee a large change at this point. As we move down a potential implementation timeline, depending on choices made within this process, then we'll come back with all that information on what would be the budget implications if we went this way or this way and so on. So with that, I will kind of hand it back over to Kelly, and I'm here for any questions.
Thanks, Julia.
Yeah.
So I think Julia did a good job of focusing on these 4 questions. And obviously we need to start with the first question to sort of determine how we move forward with any of the others. So I I think we can open it up to any questions right now, but in particular, considering that hybrid option, because if that's not the direction people are leaning, then we're probably going to have a different conversation. So maybe questions specific to that, to moving forward with the hybrid shared responsibility model. Marika, do you have?
That is one I do not have questions.
You don't have questions?
Nope.
Any questions on that? I mean, I think if there aren't specific questions, then if you want to give some thoughts on it, maybe.
I like the hybrid shared responsibility model. I don't know that I like it exactly how it's written in the Summit Street Group documents, but in general, I'm in favor of that hybrid model, and I don't have any real specific comments on that particular topic.
I'm aligned with Marika on that as well, and talking to some different groups and that sort of thing. This one seems to be something that's in line that would work for everybody and provide that little bit of like clarity, right? Predictability, like those types of things. So again, I would say I agree with that hybrid model.
Anybody have concerns not leaning that direction just before we get the?
I'm definitely leaning that way, and also agree with Marika. I think devil's in the detail in all of these questions, and I think they're going to evolve as we continue through this process that SSG's laid out.
Anything else?
Yeah, I think the hybrid model can have a wide definition, but in general, I think that the core of it, it's town retaining ownership, by town meaning it's community owned assets, our arts district, our Riverwalk. So all of that makes absolute sense to me. And like Julia said, let the art experts run it, but we'll do the boring stuff, we'll say.
The nuts and bolts, literally.
I favor the hybrid model as well. I think, and Carol said it well, it's the town managing the town's business for the town. And at this point in time, I think we're choosing a path, which is going to have a lot of detours and off-roads as we move forward. So I'm in favor of pursuing the hybrid model. And again, with recognizing Marika's comment, I don't agree with everything that SSG says, but we've got to start somewhere. And I'm prepared to start down that path.
Anything, Jay?
Oh, I agree.
Okay. All right. So knowing that that is sort of kind of the direction that we've already been partially working under already, but definitely going to formalize that now. I think we can sort of move through comments and questions on facility management oversight reverting to the town, formalizing arts and cultural committee, entering the facility agreements with Breck Film and Backstage. I think if there are other questions, that's fine, or if there are other discussion points that maybe people could bring up, I think that's great. But I also know that it's really important. There are so many details and so many questions that we don't have right now that we sort of give staff and the consultants a little bit of time to work through some of the next steps and answer some of our questions before we get into that too deep. But, if there's some incidental questions that come up through these 2, 3, and 4, I think that's fine. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if I had one piece of advice for this discussion, it would be that I think the goal is to provide high level direction to staff and BCA and the resident companies so that everyone can start working towards a common goal and be rowing in the same direction versus getting into sort of I think we'll be coming back with all of the specifics, right?
Great point.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Do you want to start again, Marika, with 2, 3, and 4?
Sure. Number 2, facility management oversight reverting to the town. I'm a yes with few questions, except that I do want to make sure we keep that oversight word in mind. I know we're not talking about specifics of specific buildings, but I do think that the managing some of these facilities will not be as simple as the way we manage, say, the rec center or this building or the ice arena. So that will be
Expertise.
something I want to talk about when we talk about specific facilities in the future. Want me to just go 2, 3, 4?
Great.
Right now? Great. I am not ready to formalize an arts and culture committee today. I think leaving it as the Arts District Management Committee, I am comfortable with. It's hard for me to know what the responsibilities of this committee are going to be before I know kind of, I don't know. I feel like I need to know the reporting structure and if we're going to have an arts and culture manager employee in there. And I don't know what the responsibilities of this committee will be before we hear from CPG, or I don't feel like I know that right now. And then number 4, I like the concept of entering into facility agreements with Breck Film and Backstage. I don't like that number 4 as written doesn't reserve space for our other resident organizations. I also don't know how we put metrics in there before we hear from CPG about what we might want in those buildings and from those ROs. So I'm interested in like some movement down that path, but I don't know that I could write an agreement, or I could be ready to review an agreement right now with the information that we have.
Are you going down the line?
I mean, people can jump in.
I can piggyback off because Marika, you stole the words out of my mouth. Honestly, like we're very much aligned on that and how you put that. And I believe like the biggest thing is I'm thinking of this a little bit through the lens of how we're going about like the comprehensive plan right now within the town, right? Like I feel like there's these are a lot of different entities and organizations, and especially with, you know, entering into the facility agreement with just 2 of them specifically versus others, doesn't feel like we're taking the opportunity that we have in front of us to kind of review the whole thing holistically and feel like and determine what we're going to do going forward. And so, and thinking through the lens of like the comprehensive plan and how we're working through that right now, right, with getting like multiple sort of perspectives and understandings. And I think we have a lot of information that's probably out there that all of these entities have collected, but understanding it a little bit more of like, how are we defining again, like what the oversight is and what that looks like. And I feel like if we entered into some of these facility agreements right now, that could pigeonhole us maybe in something that we determine later that doesn't, you know what I mean, that we would have changed differently. So that's where I kind of stand right now in that.
I can go next. I'll start on that one, question number 4, where I think that's one of the, to give our resident art organizations, or 2 of them, Breck Film and Backstage, clarity. I think that absolutely makes sense to go ahead immediately and have the town work directly with them to provide them with some clarity. Keely, I don't know if this, like, if we do work immediately on a contract that is just 1 year, and as we get the visioning, we can maybe make amendments that give these 2 organizations clarity. They have been operating these spaces well, and the current agreement is so outdated. And as part of this, of course, there will be a lot of kind of discovery and understanding what the 2 organizations need from us, because they're doing their budgeting right now for 27. They're doing their programming. So I think it'd be great to work with them and make that transition sooner, because it is, I think, an obvious operational improvement by having that more direct dealing with them. But there's also a lot of details, like Dick said, devil's in the details. I think our current agreement with Backstage is they get certain number of days at the Riverwalk. I think we really need to vet what those resident art organizations need to thrive, and also what we need to do as a town. But again, as Keely said, let's not get into the details right now, but I'm in favor of moving in that direction at a high level, but making sure that we're vetting everything within that agreement. On the Arts and Culture Committee, there's no doubt that group is valuable. That is all our local arts organizations that have the expertise getting together. Like Marika said, there's not clarity on what exactly this group's mission is, what governance authority we're giving them. So in general, I want to keep this committee active, but I don't even know what formalizing means. We don't know what the mission is, what the outcome is. And then facility management, I think the others said it well.
I'll jump in. I'm pretty aligned with you, Carol. I mean, you well said, most all of that. Emily, on 4 spoke very well. I absolutely think the staff, to Carol's point, to give clarity to those 2 organizations, I'm fine with. I think those are 2 easy ones. But I don't think we should go all the way, because I think we need to identify the matrix and to, one of the things that we saw over and over and over in this entire consultant recommendation package was that everyone needs more clarity and we need more consistency and everything. So I think to develop matrix and such, we need to hear the report from the other consultant and get the full big picture. Yes, let's give the organizations clarity. Let's have the staff start working on these, but recognizing that they may not get done by the end of the year because of the timing of the other report out of the other consulting group. So far as the committee, yeah, Carol, you said it very well. It's a very valuable committee, and I see them. I would love to see them continue functioning as we bring clarity to this whole process. But formalization is that word kind of scared me because I don't know what level of detail we're looking at, because we're not in a position to give a tremendous amount of detail in their mission and governance and everything else. So, but the committee is very valuable and very much want to see it continue. Facility management, I think, has been answered. Yeah, that certainly makes sense.
Steve, Jay, someone?
I think everybody needs to understand that we are going to move forward on these things. And if we don't get started, it's going to be 2027 before you know it. And we need to be ready. So, yeah, 1 through 4, I think my opinion is we begin work on all 4 of those things. But I'm not yielding as much as I trust our staff to move forward with these things. I'm not yielding that they're going to enter into agreements with Breck Film and Backstage Theater and then just come back and tell us they did that. We're going to be engaged in this. And I think everybody needs to understand we've made a directional decision and now we're moving in that direction. So I'm not going to repeat what everybody else said. I agree.
Oh, you can't. Oh, okay. Thank you. That is a very reasonable. So just pull your mics way in.
Well, I think that this is, and the most important thing that we're all kind of talking about is the importance to do this once and to do it correctly. And I think in order to do it right, we have to take our first step. And what that looks like is adopting in general these 4 questions that are in front of us, and being prudent moving forward, of taking these steps cautiously, watching where we step, and ensuring that everybody is engaged in the process so that we get all the expertise that is in the room today and that is in our community. I think it is critical to mention that the work that is being done right now by BCA is important to this community today, and it will be tomorrow. And, I think I was talking to someone up here that if I walked out in the street and got hit by a bus on my way out tonight, you could go into the restaurant tomorrow and say, hey, guys, run lunch, run dinner, just like you would have any other day. And they could they could move along with that for, well, probably for months, years. If you went in and said, hey, Jay got hit by a bus, now we need you to be a Chinese restaurant serving breakfast, the whole thing would dissolve. And so I think it is important to really identify and appreciate the work that's being done today by BCA through this summer and through this fall and through this budget season, and realize that these first steps are only future planning, and that everything today is going to move forward, and the programming and the work that's being done is super important and critical to this community. I share similar questions that everyone else has about the Arts and Culture Committee. I've seen the ADM at work. It is super productive. It's a great place for idea generation and for getting on the same page. And I applaud the effort to continue that. I think it's very important. I think that along with that Arts and Culture Committee, what a director or what a town staff position looks like needs to be vetted, and to see how that interacts with the rest of town and the resident organizations. And really look forward to taking this opportunity to keep everyone involved in the process and to make that first step to doing this correctly and doing it once. And so I'm in favor of moving forward with those four.
Great. I feel very similar to the folks who are up here, and that decision is absolutely informed by discussions that we've had with folks who are here listening today, and with the other arts orgs, and also with the consultant, certainly. I think the thing that I've spent a lot of time thinking about is this concept of why are we moving forward with the agreements with, bless you, with two of the orgs and not all the orgs. I think there are a couple of points. The number one point is that if the facilities are coming back to the town, then there isn't a clear connection for a reason for there to be an agreement between BCA and say the theater or Breck Film. And so I think that that is the most simple thing. Second, I think that those are out of date and not current agreements from my understanding. And so it makes sense to start working towards having a current agreement. And I think what Dick said is really important, which is that when we move forward with these more simple agreements, we're going to learn a lot from kind of getting into the details of those agreements, and B, that those agreements can't really be finalized without the master plan, because we want those agreements informed by the community process. So I think everybody said it really well up here, and just want to ensure that people understand we are just making this first step. It doesn't mean anything other than, the four decisions are being made, and that we'll keep having the community conversation. And we've had a lot of really good input from BCA in particular, and the folks at the Riverwalk, all of the arts orgs. But I know that BCA has really been reaching out to people, trying to make this successful, make sure that the arts that you're providing are lasting through a time that's feels a little bit tumultuous, but like Jay said, that we absolutely support and want to continue forward. So really appreciate that effort and that expertise, like Marika said, that is in these buildings and a part of the arts orgs, and we do want to recognize that. So I think that we're at a good place of agreement for these first four decisions, and really look forward to the ideas that staff comes up with, and our consultants, and of course informed by the folks who are still involved in this process. And everybody is super engaged, and we appreciate that. So any final questions before we sort of let it rest. If anyone has comments about these decisions, public comment is tonight at 7:00. And so you're welcome to come and give some public comment, and we love to hear from you, or you can just email us or you can call us. So we'll just keep that conversation going. Yeah.
Does Julia need anything else from us?
Julia, do you need anything beyond this right now to get ready for the next meeting or to start in this direction?
No, I think I have some good direction, and it'll be a little bit. I love the idea about, we don't want to put the metrics in this upcoming agreement for Backstage and Breck Film, for example, and before that master plan is done, and we're gonna recommend to the council that we do sort of a visioning exercise too. So more to come for sure, but we do want to update those agreements. So I think we could do a simple one to start and just get a current agreement with them. And I'll work on other stuff. Be back.
Thanks for joining us, Julia. Appreciate
Thank
you being here to present this.
Thank you all.
All right. Okay, so the arts and cultural discussion is closed for now, and we are going to have an executive session now.
Yes. So if I can get a motion under 24-6-4024 B and E to discuss matters relating to the potential formation of a special district at Maggie Pond, and to discuss potential negotiations and receive legal advice related thereto. That would be great.
So moved for the statutory reasons cited.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to go into an executive session. We will not have any kind of decision to report on. We will not make any decision, and we will not need to come back into open session. So we will see people at 7:00. Ready? Yeah. All right. The time is now 7:00. I'm going to call the town council meeting for July 14th to order. Roll call, please, Helen.
Marika Page.
Here.
Dick Carlton.
Here.
Steve Gerard.
Here.
Carol Sonic.
Here.
Jay Beckerman.
Present.
Emily Lutke.
Here.
Mayor Kelly Owens.
Here. Approval of the minutes, town council minutes, June 23, 2026. Anybody have changes? Minutes stand. Approval of the agenda. Any changes?
No changes.
All right, the agenda stands. Communications to council. So now is going to be the time for you to come down to the lectern and state your name for the record if you want to talk about something that is not on tonight's agenda. So the things that are on tonight's agenda are an ordinance amending the, how can I shorthand the ADU? Yeah, ADUs, the dog park rules, the town council rules of procedure, and the Little Daisies. So if you're here to talk about anything else, then now is the time for public comment. Come on down and state your name for the record, please. And you'll have 3 minutes to give your comment.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Chuck Anderson. I'm the president of the Powderhorn HOA. I'm also on the Columbine Homeowners HOA. I represent 346 units, 17 different condos on the south side of town. I don't know if you've received our letter from our attorney about the Maggie Pond, new tax district, but I wanted to make it clear that all those condos are totally opposed, including Cedars and Trails End, to the new tax district for a $20 million bond that we think is a waste of money. And we don't want to turn Maggie Pond into another Peak 8 in an amusement park with an open container law, with restaurants and bars that will take away business from downtown. I've talked to a number of restaurant owners, and they do believe it will suck business from them. The village and Vail Resorts, which is on their board, has run through this in secrecy, has not consulted Columbine, which owns the greater share of that pond compared to anybody else, nor have they run it by Powderhorn, Trails End, or Cedars. So it's all been in secret. We really think it will impose a great cost on the pond and the pristine forest. It's at the base of the Burroughs Trail. And of course, Wanderer goes by there as well. So we're against that, number one, for those reasons. Number two, though, there's been no report from the Army Corps of Engineers given to us or anybody on our board about what the impact would be environmentally. And according to the Army Corps of Engineers on the Clean Water Act, Section 404, if a project affects mountain-fed river, stream, pond, wetlands, or federally protected waters, there needs to be a federal permit. I'm not aware of any study that's been done so far, and I believe before we put this for an election in November, which is what they are aiming for, or May, this needs to be done, and the council needs to look into it a lot more before this goes any further. We have plenty of information on our website. It's called MaggieTaxTruth.com. Again, that's MaggieTaxTruth.com. But I want to make you aware of this before this goes any further, but we will be fighting this as much as we can with all those HOAs.
Thank you, Chuck.
Hello. Okay. So my name is Kia Neal, and I am a local artist here in Breckenridge, and my studio is at 125 Ridge Street Alley. I've been teaching for Breck Create for 16 years, and I'm also the ceramic studio head tech in what is currently our busiest studio. I first came to Breckenridge in 2010 as a visiting artist in the Tin Shop Guest Artist Program, and I fell in love with the Arts District. In fact, the Arts District is the reason why I moved to Colorado. In 2014, the year the campus expanded and became the Breck Create we know today. I'm here to talk about one of Breck Create's greatest contributions to this community. Many people know Breck Create through the wonderful community events it creates, but the value I experience happens in our classes every week. From the outside, our campus can sometimes appear quiet. Classrooms aren't open like retail shops. They come alive when people are learning inside them. As someone who has spent over a decade teaching in these spaces, I'd like to share what I see. I've been a professional teaching artist for 25 years, working with students of all ages. I'm also a young audiences nationally credentialed teaching artist with training in social emotional learning. I've learned that art education isn't simply about making better artists. It's about helping people become healthier, more connected versions of themselves. My job isn't only to teach watercolor or ceramics. It's to help people move beyond fear, perfectionism, and self-doubt, and rediscover a creative part of themselves. I've watched creativity reduce stress, build confidence, and create connection, regardless of whether someone considers themselves an artist. Recently, a woman who attended my painting class was in town on a work retreat and felt so overwhelmed by it that she planned to paint only in black. She actually never touched black paint. And she left smiling, relaxed, and saying that she finally felt like she could breathe again. That's the value I'm talking about. and it can't always be seen, but it can be deeply experienced. In our ceramic studio, patrons don't simply come to make pottery. They come because they found community, and they tell us they want more classes, more opportunities for studio time, and a place to share and even sell their artwork. My hope is that whatever changes come to the Arts District, they give Breck Create the capacity to grow. Because when people are given the space to create, they don't just make art, they build confidence, connection, and a deeper relationship with themselves and their community. Thank you.
Thanks, Kia.
Hey guys, my name's Hank Scott. Lived here about 20 years. Couple of things I want to say tonight. One is a recommendation and another one's an offering. A recommendation. This is a light meter. You obviously know all about the light issue. I have a background in this from an engineering background. By the way, my house is completely compliant with the lighting rules. But what I've noticed, because they told me I wasn't compliant, and I put stuff in and made it compliant, it's subjective. So I would recommend the town on the website when it talks about the night lighting type stuff, light pollution, that they come out with a light meter objective way of measuring it. So 5 feet out at 90 degrees, 45 degrees down, whatever the number is. And the reason is, I think you're going to get sued. You're going to find people on the lighting thing for a subjective opinion on whether the lights are compliant or not. I actually took the light meter around and looked at a whole bunch of different lights, and there's a lot that aren't compliant, and a lot of those lights belong to the town. So recommendation, an objective measurement of light pollution. Okay, second one. Last 14 years, I've owned a skateboard mini ramp in my garage. I'm getting old and skateboarding hurts, and so I would like to donate the ramp to the skate park, to the town. Mini ramps are a different type of skateboarding. I've been skateboarding my whole life. Mini ramps are a different type of skateboarding than being at the park. It's more of a crew of people in a very close proximity. Most skaters skate everything, but a mini ramp's like a session. So I'm down at the skate park because I'm still living the dream, even though my body doesn't want me to. And the little pergola area right near the skate park, the skateboard ramp I have would fit in there. An alternative might be the top floor of the parking structure. But if you guys are interested, I would be happy to donate the ramp. It's only 3 foot high, 12 foot wide, very forgiving, it's 4 layers of wood. There would be a cost, and the cost would be staff to help me move it. So we'd need a flatbed truck, half a day. I need to cut it in 3 pieces. So you need to take the top layer off, and then when we get it there, we put the top layer back. We'd also have to level it out. But if the kids down there during summer, when it rains, they could go under that covering and skate the mini ramp. Then they go back to the rest of the park. There's not a single skateboarder at that park that would not love this. It just seems like a waste sitting in my garage because it's just not getting used as much. But the secondary cost would be maybe within a year. This thing's covered in masonite. It doesn't weather well. They do have these things called gator skins. It's just a very thin layer of treated masonite. It would probably cost $1,000 or $2,000 a year from now to resurface the whole thing. Then it's outdoors, it's weatherproof, it's going to last year round. So just want to offer that. But like I said, there would be a cost, and the cost would be probably 3 or 4 of your guys, girls, to help me cut it, put it on a flatbed. I don't have a flatbed, so I need a flatbed. It's only a mile to the park. We would have to level it out though, which is just shims, wood, nothing serious. And my third ask, and this is not tied to the skateboard ramp, but you might be familiar with old Jimmy, the guy I used to coach. He's a national treasure. The kids love him, and he would be great at helping do this. And personally, I would like to recommend that you consider allowing him to teach skating again. I know there was an altercation and weird stuff, but within our community, he's a god. So anyway, that's it.
How do we reach you, Hank?
Wrote my email up there. Jay can find me.
Okay, great, thank you.
One of several different pubs. I'll call you tomorrow. Me and Scott chatted about it, which is where I'm going right now. So anyway, mostly free.
Thanks for the generous offer, Hank. We'll put some staff in touch with you.
Cool.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Hi, my name is Ruth Ann Sherrier. I actually have my statement and then two to read, but I'm going to read my friend's statements first, or these other people's statements. They couldn't be here tonight, just so that they know their voice is heard. This first one is from Beth Schaefer. One of the main reasons I chose to move to Breckenridge was the Breck Create campus. The ability to pursue other interests besides sports helps to garner a sense of well-rounded community. What I discovered at the ceramic studio is a group of like-minded individuals, people who enjoy learning, sharing, and teaching. These people are intelligent, curious, and excited about being creative. I would hope to maintain this space for myself and continue to be open to sharing with others. The other one is from Anna Benson. And this is her statement. The age-old tradition of passing down artisanal skills and techniques is an incalculable value. It creates community, and without it, cultural heritage, arts, and traditions are under serious threat. A remarkable bridge is created in the spaces that allow collaboration between skilled and developing artists. These spaces allow people from a myriad of backgrounds and cultures, ages, ethnicities, heritages to come together and create. These creations are not just objects, they are stories and testaments. They initiate conversations and connections, and they are beautiful catalysts for a community. As conversations about the future of Breck Create space develop and plans are made, I truly hope that these spaces and the opportunities for generational craftsmanship are preserved. Okay, and so now it's my statement. I moved here in 1989. My community, when I first moved here, was the ski area, like many young people who came. I worked for the ski area. All my friends were part of the ski area, but I grew older. I had other jobs. I had a child. And that sense of community is harder and harder the older we get. Breck Create and the Breck Create Ceramics Studio is really now my community. I go there 3-4 times a week. In the last year, I had the opportunity to actually work as a tech, and I'm always there on Tuesdays. I open that door when I get there at 8 o'clock, and I leave it open for people to come in and join me. I can't tell you the number of visitors I have met and people that live here in town that are just curious, and I take the time to talk to them. But I'm always remark at their comment about how wonderful the arts district is for our town. I have had many people tell me that they bought their condo, they moved here, they would consider moving to a mountain town because of our arts district. I hope, however we come up with these changes, that we continue to allow it to thrive and grow. You know, humans are humans because they make with their hands. It is part of who we all are. All that art there is people making with their hands, making a connection between community, their heart, their expressions, and our town. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth.
Greetings, I'm Bill Orsich, and I've been a part of this community for 13 years as an artist and resident. And like most people, we chose being here because it is a real town and community, and the arts are really an essential part of that. And I've been fortunate to be able to do several pieces for Breck Create, for BIFA, and I'm doing one this year. They've been sound installations that are immersive. One was at the Riling Dredge, and the other one was on Moonstone last year, and this year's at Riverwalk Center, and they're site-specific. And I mention those because through these pieces, I've been able to see the response of people that come to them and how a piece of art can give them a fresh view, even for residents who may or may not have been at these places. It gives them a new window on these places. It gives them a chance to think about things and reflects. And it's just, it's another way to look at our town in a fresh new light. So I feel fortunate to be able to do that as a local artist. And in addition, to work with other local artists as part of the community. And it all just expands this feeling of togetherness and as a whole community. I think these projects and other Breck Create projects illustrate the importance of art to provide some a different avenue, a thought-provoking and human way to look at things that's indispensable to the other activities in the town. And this is a town that thrives on exploration and adventure. And I think the art should reflect that, in the sense that we should be doing more experimental things, exploratory, trying things, and Breck Create is a key aspect of that. And so art builds community, and it's an essential part of the human and cultural mix, and it should reflect the incredible range of talent and resources and interests in our town. So Breck Create facilitates that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. This is a different microphone than usual. My name is Ali Nitka. Been a resident here for 13 years. Last time I was in this room, you guys changed my life, so I'm hoping it doesn't go that way. I'm going to read this, otherwise I'm going to ramble, so we're going to start here, and then we'll see how much time I have left. My name is Rowdy Ali Nitka. I've lived in here for 13 years, and I wear a lot of hats in this town. I'm an artist, an entertainer, a landscaper, a general fun haver, and a creator. I've worked closely with Breck Create, NRO, Rotary, Town Council, BTO, and other organizations around this town, which has given me a view into these organizations actually operate. Too often, our organizations and town government aren't working together appropriately, and in a town this size, that shouldn't be the norm. These organizations need to be working towards shared goals. We have a department whose entire job is bringing tourists here, and they're good at it. Tourism keeps this town running, and I'm not naive to that. But I want to ask this council directly, what's here for the people who actually live here year-round? We keep our downtown beautiful for tourists, the flowers, the lawns, details that make this place feel special. And I get it, because beauty is part of why I chose to live here too. The NRO does something generally great, bringing in musicians from around the world and giving them a launching pad. I'm glad we support that, but as a community member, I don't see that. I don't see myself in that. I'm not asking you to cut it. I'm asking, where is the equivalent investment in us? Community art participation has been shown to meaningfully reduce isolation and loneliness, especially in older adults. Even a few minutes of creativity activity lowers stress and lifts mood. That matters mostly in exactly the kind of place we live, a small mountain community. This isn't a nice to have, it's public health. Not another bar, another ski trail, another bike path, or another drinking festival on Main Street. Something built around community and an activity that isn't measured by what is monetized. I believe we need change. Working alongside Breck Create, I see that change is already happening. There's real openness among the staff to do things differently, to take community feedback and actually act on it. An openness I haven't seen from other organizations in town that I've worked with. So my ask is to pump the brakes, give these new leaders some time, and back them instead of cutting them off at the knees. Several of you ran on finding real balance between tourism and community. I believe that is essential. So let's start with the actual question. What's the town's goal? Who is it for? Don't shrink Breck Create's budget. Don't take the Masonic Hall away. Take the leash off. They shouldn't need to get permission for the town to do everything. Requiring that is not how arts thrive. Let Breck Create run, and let's get every organization in this town moving forward toward the same shared vision of what we want this place to become and bring this community together. Arts are important. Let's take a step forward and not back. I'm available to speak to any of you, as I have a lot to say, and I don't want to take up the council's time with a rant. Please feel free to reach out. I'm around. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Good evening. My name is Brenna Bien. I've spent the last several years building community events and creative projects here in Breckenridge, most recently as the creative director of the Lamplight series. The Lamplight series is a grassroots live music and arts series built around local artists here in Summit County. I've read through the report closely, and there's a lot in here worth supporting, but I have some real concerns about who gets protected as these changes move forward. This report confirms the town invests over $4 million a year in arts and culture. That's a serious public investment and deserves careful, community-minded decisions. Right now, local artists have studio space and places to perform through resident organizations that actually know this community. Recommendation 6 proposes that opening the studio space to the RFP process for regional and even private operators. I'm asking council to require that any RFP protect and prioritize the local artists. These are working studios, not vacant real estate, and putting them up for competitive bid against outside institutions with more resources and less connections to this town feels backwards. I'd also ask council to be cautious with funding models that reward ticket revenue and destination scale events over community-based programming. When success is measured by revenue per attendee or how many costs are covered by ticket sales, funding naturally shifts toward who can fill the most seats, right? And the biggest draw is rarely a local artist. It's usually an outside act with a bigger name and a bigger price tag. Now, I'm not asking the town to turn away any outside acts. Some of my favorite nights have definitely been, favorite nights have definitely been experiencing those touring artists, but I'm asking that any growth in tourism programming includes real local artist involvement, so local art can grow right along with it and not get pushed aside. Bringing in bigger acts without investing in what's already here isn't growth, it's a replacement. And once that happens, it's very hard to get back. We won't just lose funding, we'll lose the artists themselves. This is exactly the kind of blind spot that happens when local artists aren't in the room. I'd ask that the new committee that's going to revolve around the arts and culture include real artists and grassroots representation, not just resident organizations and town staff. I would welcome that opportunity if given the opportunity. Breckenridge can grow as a destination and still belong to the people who built the art scene. I'm asking council to make sure that this restructuring builds on it instead of building over it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aaron Williams, and thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for the work you're doing in keeping Breckenridge a place that grows with purpose and not by accident. I'm here to ask you to consider TEDx Breckenridge for funding and to fold it into the arts and culture plan. First, let's be clear about what this is. It's not a building, it's not a single event on a single night. It's an ongoing program, a series that returns year after year and builds momentum each time it does. It brings local and regional speakers together live on a stage in Breckenridge with a captive audience during our main event at the Riverwalk or during one of our salon events throughout the year. And here's why that matters. Every mountain town in this valley has found its signature. Aspen has the Aspen Music Festival. Vail has Bravo Vail. Breckenridge has the National Repertory Orchestra. On the music front, we hold our own. But there's another dimensions that other towns have built, one that Breckenridge hasn't claimed yet, the intellectual one. Aspen has the Aspen's Ideas Festival and the Aspen Institute. Vail has the Vail Symposium. And the honest answer is that here in Breckenridge, we have a gap. TEDx Breckenridge fills that gap. It gives our residents and our visitors a reason to come here, not just for the ski area or the partying or other amazing arts and culture opportunities, but for ideas. For nights when they sit next to a neighbor and hear something that changes how they think about the world or their own backyard. This isn't theoretical. Last year, we brought Patrick Murphy from Rootstock to the stage to talk about why restaurants are essential for human connection. And we featured Andrew Young's talk on US mail in a digital world and how mail began in Breck, a talk that got fast-tracked to the TED platform. And the reach runs well past our own crowd in town. Our talks have archived over 80,000 views on YouTube across 55 talks, with one standout talk pulling 560K views alone. That's Breckenridge's ideas reaching people who have never set foot in Summit County. This year builds on that. Kurt Kionka, CDOT's project director on the I-70 Floyd Hill project, on modernizing how Coloradans move through these mountains. Wouter van de Poltesiel, a physics professor at the Colorado School of Mines, talking about how they're building a quantum computer to research how particles interact in our stars and here on Earth. And Chris Ray, a research scientist who spent 39 years studying picas, tiny mountain mammals, and how they're responding to climate change. 3 different lenses, all proof that this town has more to say than most people give it credit for. Right now, the intellectual identity of Summit County is unclaimed. We can let Aspen and Vail keep it, or we can go get it. 1 year and one speaker at a time. That's what TEDx Breckenridge is built to do. This is a good problem to solve together, and we have the momentum and the track record. What we need now is a town's backing, funding, and a real seat in the arts and cultural plan to give this runway to keep going the distance. Thank you for considering, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, any final comments? So we really appreciate everybody's engagement tonight. It's really fantastic to have the public here and giving us input on things that we're looking at every day. We're not going to answer your questions tonight, but our staff will absolutely be following up with you. Some of us may follow up with you, and we're listening and taking your feedback very seriously. I do want to encourage you guys to make sure, those of you who are interested in the arts and BCA and what goes on, to make sure that you stay engaged with the master planning process, because the community is going to direct this process and tell us what they want to have as far as arts and culture in the community. So just want to put a plug in for that other process that we can currently have going on. But really appreciate everybody's points, lots of great points, and we'll take them to heart in all of these conversations. So public comment is closed. We are going to move on to the Breck Tourism Office update. Lucy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's great comments tonight. I want to follow up and thank everyone for that. I think it's great to see people come out and lean in on all these things. Just a quick lodging update, and then a couple of things on events. As of the 12th, we're running about 1% ahead in room nights over last year. That a couple, 2 weeks ago, we were 5% up. We're seeing everything slow down a little bit, consumer confidence, just the whole bigger travel world. Everybody's traveling, but it's just slowing down a bit. We have that's about 1,000 more paid room nights. And then when we factor in our owner nights, which are up 3%, that's another 2,000 room nights. So there's 3,000 incremental nights year over year just there. We, looking at July 4th, in terms of room nights, we were a little bit under last year, which is normal when the holiday falls on a Saturday, just like a Christmas holiday. It's always a little less in room nights. Although we are all convinced that for the parade and all the activities of the day, we definitely had more people in town. And I just have to reiterate what John Doerr said earlier today. I think for all the teams that were out there working together from 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. plus, I mean, it was just awesome to see, you know, what we can do when we pull together like that. Everybody just knocked themselves out, and it was great. July is looking up, September and October ahead of last year. September will continue growing. The Governor's Conference registration just opened today, so we'll just start to see some bookings come in from that. So I'm feeling like we will finish a little ahead for summer, fall, probably not a lot, but we'll be in okay shape. And I say that largely because anecdotally, we're hearing from our big group properties that groups are looking pretty strong for third and fourth quarter. So I think we'll be okay. And I checked, Jay, and Missouri is the fourth largest market this summer outside. So it's a good thing. Couple things on events. Wildflower Week. We did our first Wildflower Week, July 2nd through the 12th. It was a huge success from a media standpoint. We sold out or booked out virtually every event that Carrie had organized. And I have to say that the business community really stepped up on this one and did their own activations, whether it was flower-themed drinks or a bee talk in one of the art galleries. Everybody got really creative with this one. So kudos to Carrie for coming up with that. And I think, you know, this is one of those events that will just really continue to grow by leaps and bounds as we, in subsequent years. GovCon I mentioned already, that's going to be September 23rd through 25th, about 500 people. That will roll right into Oktoberfest, which will be that Friday through Sunday. Our vendors are full. Stein sales are up quite ahead of last year. So that's at least a good indicator. 2 other events, Global at the Mine, which is our event that we're going to do, Country Boy Mine. Matt Vaughter is lined up a list of chefs that will be coming in cooking for that event. That's will be more of a self-contained event. We're really hosting it. Alpenrock has come in as a sponsor for this. And for us, this is really an anchor for what we hope to do with culinary branding for the town. The next night, that's October 9th. The next night, we have Global on Ridge, which is very specifically a community event. I went to check the date on the website and I couldn't find it. And it's like, oh yeah, we're not marketing that. So, but we just found out today that Brady, the organizer of the global events, has just booked the music for that. So the local event will be community table. Tickets of probably $75 for a meal cooked by the same chefs that are cooking the night before. And then we'll have a free concert at the end of Ridge. And that band is where the DJ is Cut Chemist and Charlie Tuna, which I had to Google on the break and was rocking out over there. But they were formerly with Jurassic 5 and Ozo Motley, who I booked when I was at the ski resort. So Dick, these things come around and they're cool again. So I think this is going to be a fabulous community event, and Maj and Sarah are really excited about it, and they're excited everybody's going to love it. So that's what we have.
Sounds good. We'll look forward to it. Any questions for Lucy?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go into our new business and first reading of Council Bill number 7, Series 2026, an ordinance amending Title 9, Chapter 1, Community, Chapter 1, Section 5, Definitions, Section 9(1)(19)(24)R, Policy 24, Relative, Social Community, Section 9(1)(19)(51)A, Policy 51, Absolute, Accessory Dwelling Unit of the Breckenridge Town Code.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight, before you have the first reading of code amendments, specifically for unrestricted ADUs. This does retain the deed restricted point rewarding ADUs. So happy to take any questions at this time.
Thanks so much. Any questions? All right. Any comments from the public on Council Bill number 7, Series 2026? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Helen.
Let's have a motion for.
Oh, let's have a motion.
Madam,
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve Council Bill number 7, Series 2026, an ordinance amending the development code as it relates to accessory dwelling units, the full title of which was read into the record.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Roll call, Helen.
Councilmember Lucky. Yes. Councilmember Carlton.
Yes.
Councilmember Beckerman.
Yes.
Councilmember Page.
Yes.
Councilmember Sade.
Yes.
Councilmember Gerard.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. All right, moving on to resolutions. Resolution number 11, Series 2026, a resolution adopting dog park rules and regulations.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Before you is a resolution to approve dog park rules and regulations. These rules will better ensure a safe, healthy, and positive experience for all dog park users. They'll also support public safety and environmental stewardship in our dog-friendly town. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions? All right. Any further discussion? Can I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution number 11, Series 2026, a resolution adopting dog park rules and regulations.
Second.
All right, roll call, please, Helen.
Councilmember Beckerman.
Yes.
Councilmember Sade.
Yes.
Councilmember Page.
Yes.
Councilmember Gerard.
Yes.
Councilmember Lucky.
Yes.
Councilmember Carlton.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Resolution number 12, Series 2026, a resolution adopting town council rules of procedure and decorum.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have before you a resolution to adopt new council rules of procedure and decorum. We have reviewed these a number of times, but these are to help govern your meetings and provide guidelines for you to make motions, approve action, and otherwise interact amongst yourselves and the public in a decorous manner. If anyone has any questions, I'll take them now.
Questions for staff? All right, can I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution number 12, series 2026, a resolution adopting town council rules of procedure and decorum.
Second.
Roll call, please, Helen.
Councilmember Carlton.
Yes.
Councilmember Page.
Yes.
Councilmember Beckerman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gerard.
Yes.
Councilmember Lutke.
Yes.
Councilmember Sade.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. All right, moving on to resolution number 13, series 2026, a resolution naming portions of tracks A2 and C2, McCain subdivision north of Coin Valley Road, east of the Blue River, south of Lot 2, McCain subdivision, and west of McCain Drive that are designated as town open space property, Little Daisy Open Space.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening for your consideration is a resolution to formally name the open space currently referred to as McCain Little Daisy Open Space. Happy to field any questions.
Any questions on Little Daisy? All right, can I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number 13, series 2026, a resolution renaming portions of the McCain subdivision as the Little Daisy Open Space, the full title of which was read into the record.
Second.
Roll call, please, Helen.
Councilmember Beckerman.
Yes.
Councilmember Page.
Yes.
Councilmember Gerard.
Yes.
Councilmember Sade.
Yes.
Councilmember Lutke.
Yes.
Councilmember Carlton.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Okay, now we're into planning matters, planning commission decisions. Okay, moving on to report of the town manager and staff. Anything to report, Scott?
Nothing.
Great. I like it. Report of the mayor and council members. We're going to start at the bottom. Arts and Cultural Master Plan Steering Committee.
Yes. So CPG is continuing their outreach and engagement. The steering committee will meet again once the engagement phase has concluded, and they're doing a great job getting out there, having virtual meetings and in-person meetings, and so looking forward to seeing how that all, see what our community says.
Right. Social Equity Advisory.
Yeah, I have a few updates. First, Chris mentioned the open house, the carne asada tomorrow. So the staff helped with that and is looking forward for that. Flor said there's food for 100 people, rice, beans, carne asada, a bunch of aqua frescas. So it should be really fun if any council members want to drop by. And then few other updates. The Commission is working on updates to the grant application and the reporting process for those mini grants. And this is really cool. Flor let me know that there's a new Town of Breckenridge in Espanol WhatsApp group where Spanish speaking community members can receive updates on community events, news, and important information. So just a few updates there.
Thanks, Carol. How about BCA?
We're just coming off the 4th of July and Breckenridge was fully activated. We've heard such great things about what everybody did and all of our organizations did on the 4th. The chalk art competition, which is really fun just to see and watch those people work on the street, was sold out once again. The new family-friendly public art tour, Have You Seen My Pack? With little cutout wolves and a tour of the town, exploring and finding all of the art installations around the town of Breckenridge is up and running. There's music from NRO and backstage theater actors and historical content from Breck history to illuminate the people as they see our town. The public art installation Marble Run is up and running with new marbles available for everybody who wants to go up to the Illinois Creek area to see our troll Isaac and play with the marbles.
That's awesome. I love that. I love those marbles.
A lot of things for kids.
Cool. Rec history.
We met last week, Wednesday, and went over our strategic plan. We reviewed our plan that we had created in 2022, and we're just looking at our priorities and opportunities as we move forward. Our biggest things were our focuses, for the next 4 years, looking at our expansion, any reduction or anything that we need to consider with our core areas of work, and anything that we had missing from the draft. So it was a really productive meeting, and look forward to getting that in front of everybody soon.
Cool. Open space.
We meet Monday.
Tourism.
Next week.
All right. We did have MMC and we met, I think his last name is pronounced David Isles. He's the new Forest Service District Ranger. He seems really excited to be here. We talked a lot about fire danger, had a lot of the information that was presented today, but I do think it's worth noting that the county has increased their penalty for infractions on the stage 2 fire ban, which I think is great. It was $150 before, and they didn't feel that it was a big enough deterrent. So I thought that was good. Anything to add about that conversation, Scott? There wasn't much of an agenda. It was really just the Forest Service guy.
Nope.
Okay. And then we haven't had CAST in a while. No, that was CML that you guys just went to. All right. Any other matters?
Kelly, if I can, and I was trying to pull this up on the Little Daisy open space resolution, but I was hoping just to be able to share a couple words from the chair, Nikki LaRochelle of Breckenridge Open Space and Trails, and what the name meant to her. And I just thought it provides some context in the fact that the McCain parcel is distinct within our open space portfolio, and that it is one of the few properties that is relatively flat. This characteristic gives it a kind of accessibility that many of our other parcels simply do not offer, particularly for the youngest and oldest members of our community. We are drawn to a name that reflected the spirit of accessibility and invitation. Little Daisy is a name that can bring joy to a 5-year-old and grandparent alike. It's memorable without being self-important, distinctive without being obscure, and carries it with a sense of warmth that feels appropriate for a place intended to be widely enjoyed. And I just thought her words were so appropriate, and sorry I didn't get to it earlier, but was hoping to share that.
That's great. Any other matters?
I had some friends comment on the flags. Duke, is that your trails group that's putting the flags in the fire pits around the campsites, or is that the Forest Service?
It's both, and
Okay.
Summit County Forest Service and our crew are kind of teaming
They
up
were
on that
very,
effort.
very complimentary of the efforts and how thorough. And seems like people are going back and replacing them when they get removed. So yeah, just nice job.
Thanks, Dick.
All right. I know that 4th of July has been commended extensively, but I was really, really proud to be a part of Breckenridge and the town, and that was due to all of your good work. So thank you very much for all of that. Okay. Anything else? No? All right. Meeting adjourned.